So we opened up the second turn with the Greeks attacking to try to relieve the siege at Lilybaeum. As you can see, it didn't work. Here's what happened. The Carthaginians played Balearic slingers, which removed their excellent leader Dionysius from the battle. And then the Greeks played hoplites in order to try to increase their roll. 9, 10. They ended up losing the battle. Anyhow, it was close to an even roll. Probably. It was close to even in terms of modifiers. Before the hoplites, the +2 to the die roll didn't quite do it there. After having to retreat back from Selinus, there was only one Greek unit left. That means they lost like 6 total. So not only did Lilybaeum fall back to Carthaginian hands, but we see Syracuse is down to a 1. So things don't look good. It looks like the Carthaginians are going to be laying siege to that, perhaps. After 2 rounds, or after 1 round, sorry, the Carthaginians chased the Greeks, but they were stopped. They couldn't continue pursuing after Agrigentum, which is still Greek-owned. They'll probably end up changing that, just easier than... it's a good use of a 1-point card if they have one. What about the Romans? The Romans moved up to chase the Etruscans, and they too... But there could have been no pursuit here. This was a battle without being an overrun. This is where the Romans were stopped because the Etruscans managed to get a withdrawal roll, and the Romans did not get a pursuit. The Gauls played their leader. There's a 1-use card, Brennus. And then finally to the Etruscans, and that's where we get the cool thing, the Great Latin Revolt. The Romans had this card, the counter card in their hand last turn. They don't have it anymore. So we see Sutrium and Capua have both decreased support. Sutrium going all the way to neutral. This is kind of an interesting game because everybody's getting hosed. The Gauls not so much, but they're not gaining anything, or haven't been. It looks like Carthage is doing okay. They've regained their territory, and the Greeks are in a lot of trouble. But both the Etruscans and Romans are suffering from this war. Okay, most of the second round, as we end it, consisted of people building up. The Greeks used a Desperate Times card to pull Pyrrhus out of the deck and bring him in with some reinforcements. The Carthaginians responded by pulling Hamilcar down from Lilybaeum and combining their forces. They're still probably... They've got larger numbers, 7 to 4. Which if we look on the combat chart, is a 2-point swing. Paris provides 1 more. The territory provides 1 more, so it's possibly an even fight if the Greeks attack next turn. But that's closer than it would have been before. They could have been defeated in details. So what did that do, though? Well, we got this open again, which means if they lose the fight, they could lose Lilybaeum just due to public opinion swing. Now, it won't go Greek, but still. The Romans played one of their big cards. They brought a dictator into play and 2 extra strength points. That card also goes away. Dark Days of the Republic. It's kind of a, do you really want to play that? Because that's one of the cards that they can pull out specifically using a Desperate Times. My choice there was, yes, it is a good card to use at this point. What else would I do? And I am very worried with Rome. The Gauls moved Brennus down and actually raided the Etruscans. taking another one of their territories. They're one away from losing their bribery ability. And then going to the Samnite Etruscans. Now the the Etruscans only have 2 strength points. They can't take either of their cities back. They don't get additional strength points. They're in trouble. They have to figure out a way to get an army again, or they're in the same position they were in last game. The Samnites didn't really have much to do either, so they affected a Raiders card, which took Thuri away from the Greeks. And we're just seeing everyone trying to slam everyone else down to make sure that no one's like making any ground at all. And right now Carthage is looking pretty good still in the world, although the Greeks kind of built their defense up. So we don't know. Basically whatever happens here is going to be a huge effect on the game. Okay, so here we are in the 3rd round, and the Greeks, Pyrrhus opened things up by attacking good old Hamilcar. And there weren't a lot of cards to play, I don't think any. This was done as part of a campaign. The Greeks also moved in to Turi to try to retake it. And they defeated Hamilcar. They don't have a lot left. Hamilcar still has more troops, barely. Part of it, Lilybaeum, went neutral, and the Greeks also gained this territory. So the Carthaginians went over to siege it as their action. Then moving to the Roman turn, big campaign was played. The dictator attacked at Rome, and Vittorius attacked over at Arretium up here. Looking for what we had, yeah. The Samnite Etruscan player protected himself by avoiding battle with violent wind and thunderstorm. That gets discarded from play. Gets rid of a cheap card. It can't be too bad a thing, yeah? And it prevents a battle that they probably, well, they were definitely going to lose. Question is, was it worth saving the Etruscans? But what about this battle? The dictator's gone. What happened, man? Essentially, there was a pretty good roll by the Vasci. They had a +1 total, I believe. Yeah, it had to be. So it ended up as a tie. And in fact, their first roll, the Romans re-rolled it using quincunx, which gave them a better roll, but they still did not manage to win. They were wiped out. Dictator's over in the box. He might as well be removed from the game because that can only happen once. And the Vasci gained Veltri, and Capua went neutral, and it looks like Rome may be on its last legs here. And after 3, what do we have? The Gauls, Brennus. Brennus continued raiding, and then moved over and defeated the Etruscan leader. We're seeing a bit of a pile. They might get victory points at some point. And finally, for the Etruscan Samnite player. Now, they realized one thing. They can use 3-point cards to build the Etruscans up 1 strength point at a time and try to get something back. How effective that's going to be in the face of the Gauls, I don't know. But this time they spent for domestication. That removes a Gallic strength point. They took it off Brennus. They're not sure what to do here because Brennus might turn against those Romans, but he probably won't. He was too weak anyway. I'd like to limit that effect. It looks like the Etruscans are going to lose their minds, if not their minds. It looks like Rome is pretty much hosed. And right now, the way I see it, the Gauls are still in the game. Carthage isn't out, but they and the Greeks are still in their struggle, and whoever comes out of that is going to be in pretty good shape, but if that continues for a long enough time, I would be handing it to the Gauls at this point. Just my guess. I don't have enough experience with the game to be certain. Once more around the rounds. What did we do? The Greeks. I think they converted Tori and picked up a point. Biam fell. The Romans marched down and laid siege to Rome. They won it back, and we got the Vasci. They managed to evade combat, as well as the siege. The Gauls. The Gauls played Gallic mercenaries go home, which allowed them to steal 2 Greek each strength points, one from down here at Tarentum and one off Pyrrhus, and take them for themselves. They played them up here at Bononia. They've got their troops kind of spread out more than they can manage actually right now. And finally, for the Samnites, they moved in to take the Roman territory. They want that victory point space, and they don't want to. They don't want to wait. It's going to go neutral, but it seems silly to wait on it. And after 5, not a lot happened. What exactly? The Greeks started sieging Capua. They want to gain something to try and make up for the situation that doesn't seem to be advancing in Sicily. Carthaginians played Gisgo, getting a new leader. Rome fell. The Romans have it again. Hey, they'll get some reinforcements. The Gauls went chasing the Etruscans and got screened. And finally the Samnites took the territory they were at. And we moved to the 3rd turn. Well, we can see what the victory point results are. Neither the Greeks nor the Carthaginians moved anywhere in their points. Greece was unable to get Capua. The Gauls also didn't move anywhere. They're still... Actually, someone took a point from the Gauls at some point, I guess. I don't know how that happened. Anyway. That's where they sit right now. Rome is down to 1 victory point. They're looking a little healthier now than they were very briefly before because they got Rome back. They got 3 reinforcements, and they've got a pretty decent leader. Unfortunately, he's hard to move, and their other leader is equally hard to move and just not any good. And finally, for the Etruscan Samnites, well, there isn't much left of the Etruscans. The Samnites are doing fine. This is kind of like the last game. There's a lot of neutral territory around them. They've agreed with the Greeks to continue their alliance, but losing one of their 2 powers has put them in a really weak position. I really don't know why those Greeks are down that low, or those the Gauls are down by a victory point. Did I start everyone a point low? It's possible. Because the Greeks should be ahead by 1. They had taken 1 last turn. I think I started everybody down a point. And I just move everyone up 1. Do the Samnites deserve to be where they are? Yes, I believe they do. Alright, so that's where we're going to be. Make for a shorter game at the very least.